Now, today with the release of the trailer, we got our first real look at the Book of Boba Fett in advance of its December 29th premiere date on Disney+. And my initial thoughts on it were, if I may speak freely, is that I liked and appreciated the trailer more for what it didn't show than what it did. Meaning, just like with the Mandalorian trailers before it, there really isn't all that much to dig into. It gives you a general vibe or a sense or more of a feel than anything else, more than flat out telling you what the show is going to be about by showing or spoiling some big plot points like most trailers these days just love to do. I mean, it's almost like they can't help themselves sometimes but to show these major plot points or reveals in the trailers, or that they're told to do that by the higher-ups because they don't care about ruining the story, they only care about getting people hyped and talking about the upcoming series, and then people watch the series and have what they saw in the trailer confirmed by that series. But in this case, and again with the Mandalorian trailers, it's a refreshing change of pace to get so very little. And I somehow feel like Dave Filoni is the one overseeing these things because, as you may or may not know about him, he does not like to give anything away ever. And I really appreciate that about him and these trailers because yes, I am so very sick of trailers showing way too much of the movie or the series or whatever it might be, to the point where you watch waiting for those moments you saw in the trailer to happen. And so anyway, despite the fact that there's probably about 1,000 reaction videos on YouTube already where people are making faces and noises like what they're seeing in this trailer is absolutely blowing their mind, like their heads are about to explode with excitement, if you want to know how my reaction video would have gone, I watched this with a blank expression on my face and gave a bit of a nod of approval afterwards, thinking to myself, this will do. This is the way to do a trailer for something that already has plenty of hype around it. And if I had to guess, most, if not almost all of what we saw in this trailer was taken from the very first episode. And it's basically just a reminder that, yes, this is coming in about 2 months, and again, it gives us some clues as to the general premise of the series. It lets us know what our main character is more or less all about, and it gave a handful of cool images and some one-liners. Basically, Boba Fett does not see himself as a bounty hunter. He sees himself more as a simple man making his way through the galaxy and trying to get as rich as possible in the process. And he's taken over a crime syndicate, Jabba's old gig, that he isn't going to run in the same fashion as the former boss did. He's going to rule by gaining respect from others, not inspiring fear in them. And he's got to get everyone else on board with this new way of thinking, which is basically what the trailer shows us. Though yes, I'm sure there will be a little use of fear and intimidation for those who cross him or don't want to play nice with the new way of thinking. In fact, that's what, according to the rumors at least, that's what the show is or was going to be about. It's going to be about Boba Fett getting his revenge on everyone who has wronged him in the past, and that we're going to see via flashbacks, I'd imagine. We're going to see what he's been up to since The Empire Strikes Back. Or so said Tamora Morrison anyway, a few months ago in an interview. However, a lot of people seem to think he may have misspoken and meant we'd be seeing what he's been up to since Return of the Jedi, where he of course falls into the Sarlacc pit and is thought to be dead. And since that happened roughly 5 years before the events of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, where we see him reemerge, if you will, it makes one wonder what he was doing in that 5-year time period. Has he just been roaming around Tatooine the whole time, which seems very unlikely since it's been 5 years. I don't know what you do in the Tatooine desert for 5 years unless you can't find your way out, at which point you think you'd probably die in there. Or maybe, and this is pure guess, could it be that someone saved him and took care of him, essentially nursed him back to health after he escaped the Sarlacc pit? A nice woman perhaps, and he started to settle down on Tatooine with her to truly live a simple man's life. Until some of Jabba's former thugs came by demanding whatever they wanted and not realizing who he was without the armor and helmet on, and somehow this woman that was taking care of him that he fell in love with ended up killed by them. This, though again pure speculation, would explain a great many things, like obviously what he did for the 5-year time period, why after getting his armor back he just walked right into and shot Bib Fortuna, no questions asked, after Fennec Shand had killed almost all the other men. It also explains what Fennec Shand was doing on Tatooine, as seen in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. She was coming to get him after probably thinking him to be dead for the last 5 years, and she gets this communication. She shows up, but of course, the Mandalorian and the gunslinger, I can't remember his name right now, they intervene, and she ends up getting shot, but not before Boba Fett finds her in time to save her. And more than likely, she has probably been in possession of Slave 1 the whole time as well, thinking again him to be dead. And so now, because of that experience where again he starts to settle down, Boba Fett wants to change the way the crime syndicate works. And yeah, I know that's a very well used or cliche idea, the idea of someone who has, shall we say, done wrong in his past, finding a new peace or meaning in life and trying to settle down only to be brought right back into it by some sort of tragedy, and then he wants to seek revenge. And I can certainly be and likely will be dead wrong here. But I do think there will be something with Boba Fett to make him a bit more sympathetic, you could say. Something more than just him wanting to take control of the criminal underworld for the sake of taking control of it and becoming rich and powerful. And I think we see subtle hints of that something here in the trailer by the way he is acting and what he is saying. Again, it's trying to give a certain vibe more than flat out telling us what to expect, which, again, I appreciate. And all of this kind of relates to, I don't know if problem is the right word, but this is an interesting idea for a Star Wars series, keeping in mind even Dave Filoni has said that one thing Star Wars is always supposed to do is leave you with a good feeling. And so, and you don't have to like or agree with me here, but I do think there will be a good, if you will, kind of motivation behind what Boba Fett is doing. I think he'll mainly come off feeling like a type of anti-hero in this series. And even the little bit we see of him in The Mandalorian shows that he is governed by his own code. He's not a completely cold-hearted or cold-blooded cutthroat savage like I think a lot of people who don't know better maybe believe him to be for whatever reason. Which isn't to say he's a truly good guy or anything at his core, or that he can't or won't hurt or kill people if need be. And basically, the best way I know how to describe Boba Fett is he's not the type of person to go out of his way to kill you, unless you pay him to do that, but he won't hesitate to kill you if you do get in his way. But anyway, kind of getting back to the trailer a little bit, one of the things I was happiest to see in it was aliens. Lots and lots of aliens. This is the type of diversity I love to see in Star Wars, not that I hate the other kind, but I do think one problem we always have is way too many humans. And I do like, again, the vibe this thing is giving off, that we're finally really going to dive into the criminal underworld. We're going to see a side of Star Wars, a big and important side of Star Wars, that we've yet to fully explore in the films or shows. This looks like it's going to be what I thought The Mandalorian was going to be. Which isn't to say I didn't love what The Mandalorian did turn out to be, but it didn't really deal with bounty hunting and the shadier side of the galaxy. If anything, it was more Din Djarin trying to avoid all that to keep Grogu safe. I mean, it actually dealt more with the remnants of the Empire than any kind of criminal organizations, which yeah, turned out to be a great thing. Again, don't get me wrong. But I really thought it was going to be something else entirely. Something like what the Book of Boba Fett looks like it's going to be. And I say that because, again, it's really hard to take anything away from the trailer, anything too definitive. It spoils virtually nothing about this series. There wasn't a single shocking moment in it, really, where we maybe saw a surprise or a well-known character like a Bosk or something like that. Heck, the biggest surprise appearance in there was probably seeing the Bomar monks, who apparently are running away from Jabba's palace, or at least the one we saw in the trailer seemed to be. Which is interesting, though probably nothing, when you keep in mind Jabba's palace was first a monastery built by them, one they just let be taken over and ended up essentially hanging around in anyway. Could we get a fun scene where maybe Boba Fett kicks them out for one reason or another, maybe because he never liked them skittering around? Who knows, but again, it's probably nothing but an Easter egg. Anyway, I think this trailer did exactly what a good trailer is supposed to do. It leaves you more excited and more curious with more questions than answers about the upcoming series or movie. We now know fractionally more in regards to what this will really and truly be about than before we watched it, yet we now also have a general feel or sense about what to expect. And to me, that's much, much better than having multiple big cameo appearances ruined or knowing exactly what this is going to be about or having key moments ruined and having to watch and wait for them to happen. This is the way to do a trailer. This got me more excited without ruining a damn thing. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you thought of the Book of Boba Fett trailer. Did you get more hyped even though it didn't really show a whole lot? Or maybe were you a bit disappointed that it didn't show a whole lot? Whatever the case may be, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.